Hello and welcome back to my channel. First off, please pardon the mess behind me. This is literally where I stick my stuff at night to go to bed, but I'm in my bedroom filming for the next 2 weeks. Because as the title explains, get ready with me, let you explain Grayson and my strange filming surroundings. A lot of you know I foster cats, and I have a foster cat that I've had for a while now. His name is Grayson. I've been working on getting him to come into the house and to love me. And while I've been working on getting him to come into the house, we're going to start with No Problems primer. I've been working on trying to get him come into the house. He is a tomcat, and for those of you who don't know, tomcats like to fight, and they like to disappear. So, getting him to the vet in the middle of a pandemic, where I have to set up appointments, which isn't normal for my vet. Normally I can just take him in, but with that you have to set up appointments. So it's been a little difficult in getting him to the vet. But I noticed the other day, when he was letting me love on him outside, and before anyone yells at me, I've tried to get him inside in the past. It's the first time he's made it inside. When I would try to bring him inside, he would have a hissy fit. Where is that green? Here it is. He would have a hissy fit, and he was not a fan. I'm using the NYX HD like I've been using. So his foot started to swell, and so I set up an appointment when I saw him hanging around the house, because normally when he hangs around the house, he'll hang around for a day or two. Well, he missed that appointment. I was going to bring him in. I was going to use some Benadryl, which is perfectly okay to give to cats in very small quantities, just to get him in the house. But he disappeared, so I was unable to do that. But the second that he wanted food, and he, that same night, and he didn't have to worry about going to the vet, he reappeared. So I got him, brought him in, much to his chagrin, although he's handling it very well now. Brought him in and took him to the vet today. Well, what we found out is he's in worse shape than we could have imagined. He has cellulitis in his front legs. His ears have infections and bites. His face is covered with infected bites. Basically the life of a tomcat, which is why it is so very important that you spay and neuter your pet to avoid situations like Grayson's. He was actually running a fever of 105, which my husband asked what that would be in people temperatures, and my vet said probably around 103 for people, so it is very dangerous. And he is just sleeping in on my bed, and so I have moved him in here, and that is where I am currently spending 90% of my time to ensure that he is well cared for. He did get a 14-day antibiotic that she injected into him, and then he has a anti-inflammatory and painkiller right now, along with an antibiotic that he takes twice a day. But I just kind of want to talk about the boy and how we met and how it took me 4 months to get here, but we are here and we are happy. And even though we're a little bit sick, we're going to be okay. I'm using Wander Beauty's Nude Foundation. Now, most of you know I don't like to stick things on my face, that I would normally put this on my mirror and do it that way, but as I'm limited on workspace here. I'm literally sitting on my bed, and he is sitting nearby. I don't have a whole lot of space to put a mirror and make it work that way, so we're just going to have to do it this way. I mean, it doesn't look bad. I also have Flower Beauty I could use, but this looks red, so it really doesn't look all that bad. So, about 4 months ago, when I was filming, my cat was in my window. Gemma, I don't know if you guys have seen her before, was in my window, acting all weird. She was meowing and chirping and doing all this weird stuff. She doesn't normally do. She's a pretty silent cat, unless she's looking to another. So I called my husband. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I called my husband, and I asked him to go outside and check and see if our cat had gotten out, and if he had gotten out, if he was okay. George, because George does go outside, much to my chagrin. He will sneak out behind the dogs and basically do whatever it takes to ensure his freedom. And my husband's like, no, there's this little gray cat sitting outside. And my husband's like, well, he looks well fed, so I think he belongs to someone. And I'm like, well, let me come take a look. Turns out he was not well fed. He was just really bloated from not getting a lot of food. And if you know starving cats, they'll bloat when they eat really fast, and they'll eat a lot until the point they bloat. So he was kind of friendly, so I kind of talked him into just coming. I sat in the driveway where he was sitting, and I did my best to pull all the ticks and icky stuff off of him that I could. I noticed that his ears were really badly messed up, and I thought it was ear mites, so we treated him for ear mites. Turns out it wasn't ear mites, or it might have been ear mites and is now infected, but right now he doesn't have ear mites. We checked, he doesn't have ear mites. But, so I pulled all the ticks off of him. I did everything I could to ensure that he would be okay for the night. And then I set him up with food, and I tried, oh snap, I missed the spot. I tried to convince him to come up onto our porch where he could get better care and he could get, you know, easier access to food. He was not having any of that. He wanted nowhere near our, little extra there. He wanted nowhere near our food. He wanted nowhere near our porch. I mean, even in the rain. There's a video, one of my original TikToks, is of him just sitting in the rain while I pleaded him to come in. So I moved his food to the bottom step of our porch, well out of the way of us, because we have a wraparound porch, well out of the way of us. And he would eat it, and then I would just move it up a step until I finally got him to come onto the porch. Then I would just sit with him, and I mean hours of just sitting with him. Hours and hours and hours of just sitting with him. All right, the next step we're going to take is we are going to... Like I said, I really am just kind of half-assing it here. We're going to use the Ciate London watermelon thing that came in my Ipsy. So, we finally convinced him to come up on the porch, but he doesn't stay for very long. He would get his food and he would run away. But we got him up on the porch, which was a huge, huge step in the right direction. And then, that's when COVID officially, shut everything down. Couldn't get into the vet. So I was waiting, and still couldn't get into the vet. Made a vet appointment 2 weeks ago. Week and a half ago or whatever, for him to go in on Tuesday. Well, that's when the hurricane came through and kind of destroyed everything, so everything was closed down for a little bit. And I couldn't get him in then. So then I set it up for this Tuesday. And like I said at the very beginning of this, he disappeared, because he does that. He'll just roam for days and then come back when he's hungry. And I'm freaking out trying to call him back home. I want him back home as quickly as possible, because I need to get him to the vet, and I'm noticing that he's limping, and I'm getting really concerned. So he finally does show up last night, and I put out his canned food with literally the tiniest amount of liquid Benadryl. It wouldn't even knock out a field mouse, just enough to keep him calm. But in the process of him eating, as soon as he was done eating, he darted for back underneath my house. I had to chase him down and grab him and convince him that he wanted to stay with me, which he was not excited about at all. He was like, "Why do you want me to stay with you?" Alright, hang on, guys. Alright, guys, I used this right here. This is Urban Decay eyeshadow primer, Minor Sin. So, I got him inside, and we decided to go ahead and let him come up into our room where none of our pets would be. I am going to be using the, for my eyes, I'm going to be using the Sweet Shot Pistachio. I'm really loving these palettes. I'm going to do a review on them probably in the next couple of days. But, so, and I'm going in for my first with Soft Serve. So, I finally convinced this little stinky butt to let me catch him, which was a hassle, by the way. He darted. I mean, darted. After he's done eating, he darted to go back underneath our house and hide. Because when cats are sick, they don't like to show weakness, and they will hide. So I had to, run and grab him. And he's like, "Why are you chasing me?" So I ran and I grabbed him, and then I put him back on the porch, and I ran inside where I keep our animal crate, one of them, which was by the door. And I put him in there. And then I brought him upstairs. And I didn't know how he'd react, because we have brought him in a couple of times. And when we had brought him in and let him come in, and we've never picked him up and actually forced him in, we just left the door open and kind of let him explore it on his own. As soon as we shut the door or he feels like he's trapped, he'll freak out. He'll slam into the windows. He'll slam into the doors. He'll start hissing. I mean, he would freak out when he could not find an exit. And I didn't want him to hurt himself, so I never really forced him inside, because it's cruel to force a cat inside that doesn't want to be inside. So I was like, okay, this is going to be an ordeal, because I have to keep him in tonight. So I brought him upstairs, and I put him down, and I let him go to the crate. He wasn't really interested in the crate at first, so I just let him sleep on our dog bed. And my husband and I just sat with him for an hour, letting him sleep. All right, the next thing I'm going to go into is guilty pleasure. So I just let him sleep in our, and I'm just putting that up in the crease, by the way. I was just letting him sleep in our, I'm forgetting what I'm saying. I was letting him sleep on our dog bed while we sat there with him, and we just sat there for an hour, and we cuddled him, And then we were like, well, he's comfortable here. I wonder what would happen if we moved him up onto our bed. So I did. I moved him up onto our bed. And, alright, so now I'm putting Nutty in the corners here. And I will blend that out with a separate brush. But yeah, so I put him up in the corners. And, or I put him up in the corners. I put him up on the bed. And for the first time in his entire existence that I've known him, I think he felt safe because he then proceeded to purr and knead, which was awesome. And then he laid down next to me and he cuddled me, but I was getting really, really alarmed at this point because while he was cuddling me, all right, for the blending, I'm going to use this brush which came with the set, which I bought the brush, and I'm going to just blend all of that out. I was really worried about how warm he was, and I was like, babe, something's really, really wrong. Like, I know that his foot is swollen, and we were honestly, as swollen as it was, we were terrified that it was broken. And I was like, I'm really freaking out here. I did not bring a setting spray. Crap. That could be a problem. I may have to go back into the makeup room real quick. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can lay it down without a setting spray. If not... Alright, I'm gonna go into Treat. Do I want to do... You know what, we're actually gonna go into Sweet Life. But... Oh no, that's definitely not dark enough. Oh no, that's not bad. It's ending up in the crease a little more than I'd like it to, but... Alright, then I'm gonna go into Dessert on top of that, just to darken it up a little bit. There we go. Oh, it looks a lot better. I'm coming over here, blending the two together. So we get up early in the morning, and our vet has this like emergency session in the morning where if you can't get an appointment, if you come early enough, she will see you, but it's by first come, first serve. So you gotta get there really early if you want to be seen. So we got there at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and she doesn't open until 8-ish, but we were there well before 8. And there were already people that I was concerned he wasn't going to get seen. So we get him in there. You can't go in, so I'm freaking out because I don't like the idea of leaving him. Hang on. I hate the idea of leaving him. Like, I despise it. I just put on, for eyeliner, I just put on my normal CoverGirl. Then I don't know which eyeliner, I don't know which mascara I'm going to use. I haven't decided yet. I'm either going to use, yeah, we're just going to go with this because I have it. It is the, Brienne Rich Black, and it is by Thrive. But I am genuinely like freaking out. I hate leaving him alone in there. I have no control. When it comes to these guys, I like to have as much control as possible. So I just have to leave him with the vet techs and hope that it all works out. But the funny thing is, while we're waiting, my husband has an autoimmune disorder where he needs to have access to the bathroom. Well, they won't let you in, so he had to go to the McDonald's, which is about 10 minutes down the road. So I'm sitting in our assigned parking spot with a cat in a crate on the ground while he's like, don't leave me, I'm scared, Mom, I'm scared. I'm like, I'm not going to leave you, little boy. But I'm sitting there as people are trying to take the parking spot, looking at me like I'm weird. Why is this chick just sitting in a freaking parking spot? The vet techs are looking at me like I lost my damn mind because I'm literally sitting in a parking spot. Well, he goes to the bathroom. And I'm like really worried that my husband's not going to get back in time to help me deal with whatever they decide with him. Because at this point, I'm genuinely afraid that they're going to tell me something's majorly wrong with him. Because he is a pretty active cat. And he moves around a lot. He does a lot. And he just wasn't doing any of that. He was just kind of chilling and sleeping. He wasn't meowing except for when he couldn't see me. And I'm like, what the hell? Is my cat dying? Why is my cat acting weird? He's so warm. So my husband gets back in time to calm me down, which is good, because like I said, I was losing my freaking mind. This is really annoying. What? I was just going to dry before I find my stupid... One second, guys. Sponge and ended up blending quite a bit of that out with my finger, because I was freaking out not wanting it to dry. This is really weird. I'm not used to working on a non-vanity table, and not having everything I need right in front of me. Okay. So, like like I said. Now, oh, there it is. So he comes back. They take him in. They're in there for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And I'm really starting to get worried. And they bring him out. And they're like, okay, that'll be out to talk to you in a minute. And I'm like, oh, God. Oh, God. Because with their normal checkups lately, they just, they don't have to come out and talk to us. They just, cat's got your shots. You're good to go. Everything. Come out. And she's like, well, his fever's really high. I'm like, what do you mean his fever's really high? She's like, well, he's got 105 fever. Both of his legs have cellulitis. His face is really swollen with infection. His ears, we cleaned those out. He doesn't have ear mites, but we'll check him again in a week when he comes in for his neutering. My poor little kitty, my poor sweet little kitty, has so many infections and so many things that I just feel like an awful mom. There's not a whole lot I can do to help him out. We're going to break into the trolls thing here for blush. So we're like, okay, we get the medications. I'm expecting this bill to be around $200 to $300 because of everything that he needs to have done, which is normal. I'm not, like, upset about it. I'm just like, it's going to be $200 to $300. Whatevs, right? They come out, and this is why I love my vet. You want to know how much it was? $99. And then $104 when I added the pill popper in. That's with medication, the vet visit, everything. $100. Alright. That is really shiny. I look crazy. That's something I could blend that out with. Yeah. Now let's do this. Definitely use a light hand if you're using that. Holy crap balls. That was intense. That was really intense, and now I'm going to be blending that out for a year. Although it blends out nicely if you... Alright, I'm now going to go in with the highlighter. And so that was terrifying. We get him home, and we've been, because he marks, we don't want him marking all over our bedroom, we've been letting him sleep in the crate when we sleep, and we were going to take a nap. But he curled up on the bed, and we didn't have the heart to move him, so he's just been sleeping on our bed. Before I finish my makeup, I told you the story really boringly, I'm sure, and if you're still here, way to go, I'm going to introduce you to Grayson. Introduce you to the boy that all the problems were for. You can tell he's still not feeling good. This is Grayson. Say hi, Grayson. Say, Mom, don't do that to me. This is my sweet baby boy who's still alarmingly warm. If your temperature doesn't go down by tomorrow, we're probably calling the vet back. But you seem okay. Yeah. See, we're in rough shape. But that is my sweet baby. All right. You can go now. Go on. Go back to where your little spot was. And that is why I'm in my bedroom. All right. For the last thing, we are going to do a lipstick. Let me pick a lipstick and I'll be back. For lipstick, we are going with Long Lasting Ofra in the shade... Not a clue. Aries. But that was terrifying. With my cats, he gets along with George. Okay, George does go outside. George definitely goes outside. So he gets along with George just fine. He talks to Gemma through the door, which is cool. He doesn't get along with my other foster, Odie, but I think that's just because he has nuts. And the one thing he's willing to fight over is territory, and his territory right now happens to be my lap, and he will kill someone for my lap, which we're working on. But that is my sweet boy Grayson. That is how he ended up in my house, and why we will be spending the next week recording out of this room instead of my normal makeup room. So again, pardon the mess.